Hello, everybody. Greetings and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, we're here tonight to do my 25 favorite tertiary or third albums, rock albums, from amongst my favorite bands, of course. And we're going to do this the way we always do it, which is from least to best, worst to best, number 25 to number 21. There's no bad albums on this list because I had about 75 and I narrowed it down to these 25. I'll give you some honorable mentions at the end as well. So for those of you new and haven't seen this before, it's just a ranking, my 25 favorite. I'm sure most of you have seen these kind of things. They proliferate the YouTube network. So here we go. We're going to start with my number 25 first, which is, of course, Electric Ladyland from Jimi Hendrix. This album came out, of course, his third studio album back in the 60s, late 60s, his last album with The Experience, that is. Did one more with the Gypsies, but this is the third album from the Experience. I think it's the weakest of the three. Mostly because I'm not as familiar, haven't listened to it as much as the other two. I've pretty much burned out. This one was the last one I got. So, and it has like Crosstown Traffic's on here, really good song. And then you have Voodoo Child's Slight Return, one of his best songs. Better live than it is on the album, but great nevertheless. So, number 25, Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland. Number 24 from Jethro Tull, Benefit. I like this album. No really outstanding tracks on here for me. Like there's nothing on here that is amongst my favorite Tull, but everything on here is strong. So this is a strong Tull album. Like I said, no really outstanding stuff, but lots of really solid stuff. Next up is from The Police. We just recently did this album, number 23 here. We recently did this on Monday Nights Look Back at a Classic Rock album. A very good album. One of those albums that I think when I did the ranking, this was like second or third maybe. But definitely over time, it has been number one at times, has been number two at times, has been as far down as number 4 at times. But right now it's surging a bit. You know, it has a lot of really strong stuff on this album. To do, to da, of course. Don't Stand So Close to Me, Canary in a Coal Mine, just goes on and on. Such a strong album. Next up, A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Yeah, some real... This is probably the hardest of the original 4 or 5 albums that they did initially, that pop era of their music, with like Help and Please Please Me and Beatles for Sale and all those albums. So yeah, I think this is the hardest of the 3. This one also probably has some of the best songs. A Hard Day's Night is on here. Heavy song with that iconic guitar part at the beginning. And then my other one on here is Anytime at All. Another really, really catchy song. I love that catchy era of the Beatles as well as the psychedelic era. And this one here coming in at number 22. Number 21, almost did it. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, which is the third album, of course, by Simon and Garfunkel. I do not own it. I've been looking for it. I always look for all the Simon and Garfunkel stuff. I love them. I love Paul Simon more, but I do love these guys quite a bit too. So this album's coming in at number 21. Number 20, Animation from John Anderson. It's an album I used to own quite a bit. I do love that song, Olympia. It's probably my favorite on the album. But I haven't got it in CD since I started this. I did own it originally in vinyl and then again in CD, but that CD disc got destroyed during a move one time. So definitely on the list to get back. Next up, Toys in the Attic from Aerosmith. Could possibly be my favorite Aerosmith album. Probably at this point in time it is. Lots of really good stuff on here. But it gets on here on the strength of Walk This Way, which has always been one of my favorite songs by them. I know that some people are tired of that song, but I still love it quite a bit. So Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic, number 19. Number 18 is from a band that I do not have this album. I've been trying to get their stuff. I really love them quite a bit. And ever since I discovered them here on this channel, and I've been trying to get this album, Choice Cuts from Masters Apprentices, an Australian band. Fantastic, fantastic album. Killer. Next up is from the Pretenders. At one time, this was my favorite Pretenders album, Learning to Crawl. It's probably moved down a little bit over time. The first 3 albums by them were really good, and I kind of started to slide away by the 4th album. But this one here was the beginning of that kind of poppy sound, mostly because the main guys were gone at that point in time. Next up, number 16, Cheap Trick's Heaven Tonight. Really kind of a heavy album for them. Lots of heavy stuff on here. Kind of a very kind of 50-ish bluesy flavor to it as well. This album has Surrender on it, which is one of their more famous. It has a Vidaze, which is probably my favorite, or one of my favorites. And it also has Stiff Competition. Another great tune on here as well. Fantastic. Yeah, lots of good stuff on here. That's number 16. Number 15, from Van Halen, Women and Children First. This is a great album. I think of the David Lee Roth led era albums, it originally was probably my second favorite. It's moved down quite a bit. I think it's probably near the bottom now, just because it hasn't stood the test of time as well. Not that it is bad. I by no means think this is a bad album. It's just that the other albums, I think, have grown on me a little bit more. So this has The Cradle Will Rock and Everybody Wants Some as a well-known tunes, really great. Tora Tora, of course, everybody knows that. Could This Be Love? Yeah. Could This Be Magic? Sorry, not love. Could This Be Magic? Another great tune. It's in simple rhyme. Yeah, so this is a strong album by them. They didn't really have any weak ones at that point. I don't think they did anyways. Next up, Misplaced Childhood by Marillion. Could have easily, at one time, this would have been probably third, maybe third. Now it's, I think, number 1. I haven't listened to Jester, Script for a Jester for a long time because I haven't owned it. It was a vinyl that I owned. I haven't replaced it, but I will. I'm looking to it. So that's it. Marillion, number 14 with Misplaced Childhood. Number 13, this album continues to grow with me. I love it. Some people might say this is their first real album, but I don't feel that way. I think their first 2 albums that were only Australian released definitely count. This one would be number 3, even though it's kind of a marriage of those 2 albums. So High Voltage, number 13. Plus, I just wanted to say it again. So now we're getting into the... well, we got one more. Secret Treaties from Blue Oyster Cult, number 12. Killer album. It's not a masterpiece yet. Hasn't made the qualifications yet, but it will. Probably will make it fairly quickly, too. Career of Evil, fantastic. Subhuman, great. Domination and Submission, one of my favorites by them. You've got Flaming Telepath, oh yeah, that's a great tune. And then Astronomy, maybe one of their best songs of all. And then this one has bonuses on it, like Boris the Borman the Chauffeur and Mummy. Love both of those tunes, really strong for me. Okay, so the next 11 albums are all masterpiece albums. It was just a matter of how I was going to rank them. These masterpiece albums are not separated by very much at all, like hairs. You know, from the top one to the bottom one's probably this much space, not really much. This, of course, coming in at number 11, Little Queen. Barracuda on here, of course. Sing, Child Sing, I believe, is on here. Where's my glasses? I think that's the one on here. No, actually, I'm wrong. It's on the debut album. I apologize for that. Little Queen is on here. Cry to Me, another great tune. Dream of the Archer, that was the one that I was thinking of. So good, such a great song. Yeah, this is a strong album by this group. So that is number 11. Number 10, Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. Huge impact when it came out on me. Still is among my favorite Iron Maiden albums. It may still be my favorite. but it definitely had a huge impact with songs like The Number of the Beast, The Prisoner, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Yeah, these are all great tracks. Hallowed Be Thy Name a little bit, and Run to the Hills probably even played over too much, but I still love the album. It's still strong, and I love the artwork. It's great. Next up, Led Zeppelin's 3 album, probably my favorite Zeppelin album. Really acoustically oriented, very different from a lot of their other stuff. Of course, it does have the Immigrant Song, one of their most well-known songs on here. Since I've Been Loving You, really good track. Gallows Pole, probably my favorite on this, second favorite on this album. I really love it a lot. And then that's the way it ought to be. Oh, don't you know now? Oh yeah, great track. Led Zeppelin coming in there at number 9. Number 8 from Genesis, Nursery Crime. Genesis just keeps going up and up with these albums for me. This one's so good. I do love Trespass a lot, but I think this one has something Trespass doesn't have. Trespass has that one monster hit. This one has 3 of them for me, with a Music Box, Return of the Giant Hogweed, and of course The Fountain of Salmacy. Yeah, this is a strong album, great cover, I love it. Easily one of my favorite Genesis albums to go listen to. So it's going to come here at number 8. Number 7, this album seems to be on everything I do. Crime of the Centuries, perfect sounding, great, clear sounding, great production, great everything. There's 8 fantastic tracks: School, Bloody Well Right, Asylum, Dreamer, Crime of the Century. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this. And Hide Yourself Away. I'll always love that song as well. Fantastic. Coming here at number 7. Number 6, Caress of Steel. I know this almost ended their career, but I love it. I think it's as good or better than most of their stuff. I like it better than 2112, and I know that this sounds strange to people, but I think because it hits more at home with me. Songs kind of written about spots in Ontario that I'm familiar with, so it kind of has that thing with me. Lakeside Park, The Necromancer, The Fountain of Lambeth, even Bastille Day, great stuff. The only one on here I don't like is I Think I'm Going Bald. That one I can do without. Next up, Gabriel 3, or Melt if you prefer. I don't prefer Melt, I prefer Gabriel 3. Just from top to bottom, another excellent album. No Self-Control. I don't remember what they, Tarzan's Yell. Games of the Frontiers, probably his best song ever. And then you've got Stephen Biko to end it, which is really classic, great. So that was number 5. Number 4, the Yes album. You know, if I'd done this last year, probably would have been in the top 2, maybe even the top 1, but no, top 2 for sure. It's kind of weakened a little bit. I probably overplayed it a bit too much. Yours Is No Disgrace and Starship Trooper, absolutely killer tracks. So good, the guitar on this album, and you could tell the big difference between this and the second album. So great. And then Perpetual Change, another great one. I do like I've Seen All Good People. I don't like the kind of Hey Jude thing that goes on at the end there. I could do without that. Next up, Not Fragile from BTO. This is definitely not fragile. This is a heavy album. Easily my favorite BTO album. That real beefy guitar opening with Not Fragile, and you know later when they do Sledgehammer, same type of thing. You got back Rock Is My Life and This Is My Song, probably my favorite BTO song of all time. Roll Down the Highway, got that really kind of gruffly voice of Freddie Turner on it. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, killer track. Randy sings it well. Probably I like it more than Taking Care of Business. And then the last 3 tracks, which are Blue Morning, Second Hand, and Giving It All Away. Heavy tracks, end an album perfectly. Fantastic album. BTO, Not Fragile, number 3. Number 2, Masters of Reality from Black Sabbath. This has really moved up a lot over the last little while. Challenging on all my stacks for all the different things that it's qualified for. Stoner music, speed metal, thrash metal, doom metal, all those elements are on this album. These are all prototypes, of course, but great stuff. Sweet Leaf, great song. After Forever was my favorite on this for a long time, and then Children of the Grave, such a killer track. Then you've got probably the two smaller parts, like Orchid, which opens up Lord of this World, and then you've got Embryo, which opens up Children of the Grave. Both really, really classic stuff. So that's number 2. Number 1, Triumph. For many years, probably 35 years, this was my favorite album. It's taken a back seat over the last few years, but still moving on. Great Gilmore vocal song. Lay It on the Line and Just a Game both really, really showcase Rick Emmett's voice. So well done. Young Enough to Cry, so bluesy. I love that one. And of course Suitcase Blues, which is more toned down but really bluesy as well. So good. And Fantasy Serenade with his little acoustic bit, which I really like a lot. The only songs on here I'm not as crazy about are American Girls, which was initially my favorite, but I just burned it out and I don't want to hear it no more. And Hold On, which I think is kind of was overkill. I don't think it gets played as much as it used to, but still a little bit too much. So there you have it, my top 25 favorite tertiary or third rock albums by these rock bands. So we're going to reiterate them. Go from first to worst now. First to worst, yeah. Oh, got it backwards. Number 1, Triumph. Number 2, Black Sabbath's Master of Reality. Number 3, Not Fragile. Number 4, the Yes album. Sorry, drew a blank there. Peter Gabriel 3. Number 5, Rush, Caress of Steel. Number 6, Crime of the Century. Number 7, Nursery Crime from Genesis. Number 8, Led Zeppelin 3. Number 9. Number 10, The Number of the Beast from Iron Maiden. Number 11, Little Queen from Heart. I'm just going to stick them here so I don't knock them all over the place. Next up, Secret Treaties. Number 12, High Voltage. Number 13, Misplaced Childhood from Marillion. Number 14, Van Halen's Fair Warning. Fair Warning. Women and Children First. Number 16 from Cheap Trick, Heaven Tonight. Number 17 from The Pretenders, Learning to Crawl. Number 18 from Master's Apprentice is Choice Cuts, and that's number 18. Number 19, Toys in the Attic from Aerosmith. Number 20 is Animation from John Anderson. And number 21 is Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme from Simon and Garfunkel. Number 22, A Hard Day's Night from the Beatles. Zenyatta Mondatta from The Police. Number 23, Benefit. Number 24 from Jethro Tull. And number 25, Electric Ladyland from James Marshall Hendrix. The honorable mentions I had were Kiss's Dress to Kill. At one time this would have been on the list, but it's been years since it's been up among my favorite albums by them. Foreigner's Head Games, another one that probably would have been on the list early on, but it's kind of faded over time. The newer arrival to this list, Morrison Hotel from The Doors, currently on my playlist. Great album. Probably just haven't listened to it enough to really give it a kind of serious challenge to be on here. Steely Dan's Pretzel Logic. I really wanted to put this up here. Probably should have been on this list. And initially was, and I moved it down, and then, after I got the list together, I thought it should be up here. But it probably will be up here next time, for sure. It's just not been around long enough to give it a really, another year or so. This is probably in the top 20 for sure. The Tea Party's Edge of Twilight. This album did initially really well with me. Hasn't done as well in the last year as it did, so it hasn't had any staying power, so it's hurt it. Another album that's currently getting ready to go on my playlist, Spectral Mornings from Steve Hackett. I do like this a lot. I think in time it's definitely going to be here. And then, of course, with my new collection of Scorpions albums, In Trance, which is the third album by the Scorpions, fantastic album. Probably will definitely make it on this list at some point. I don't know who it's going to knock out, but it's just too strong of an album to ignore. So there you have it. Those are my 25 favorite tertiary albums or third albums by rock bands or rock albums. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe. Give me your 25 favorite. Is there somebody I missed, you think that I missed, that I might have just had the blank on? You can put that down there too. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. We'll see you soon. Take care and goodbye.